I'm going to give you two numbers. $345 billion. That is what India's e-commerce market will be worth by 2030. And the second number is 70%. This is the percentage of e-commerce businesses that fail in year one. The market is growing faster than almost any other industry in this country. But the businesses that are trying to capture it, they're also failing double the speed of any other kind of business. So of course, the reason is not the market. The reasons are obviously the decisions that these businesses are making and the level of competition that is out there in the e-commerce domain now. So that's what we're going to cover in this video, where we determine the decisions that are actually going to restrict you or enable you to run your store in year two. We've also built a very detailed 40-minute masterclass on how to build an e-commerce business. So if you're a starter, if you're trying to establish an e-commerce business, then that's the right video for you. This video is relevant for everyone who wants to make sure that their e-commerce business runs into year two as well. And for anyone else who's running an e-commerce business and want to turn it into a long-term brand. Before we get into the video, it's important to understand who's talking to you. So I'm Yogesh, I'm the founder of SimplePlan. We are a creative agency that specializes in working with D2C brands. Over the last 8 years, we have worked with over 100 brands, and a lot of them are very successful in the market today. So we've seen it directly from the brand side, and we understand exactly what separates the brands that can survive and the brands that quietly disappear. This all comes down to 5 decisions, and the third decision is the one that most people skip out on, and it's that reason that explains most of the 70% failure rate that we talked about. And I promise you will get there. Before we get into the decisions, let's first of all understand the kind of e-commerce business that you're building. Predominantly, there are two different kinds. The one that is functional and the one that is just aspirational. A functional e-commerce business is solving a real world problem, which essentially means that your business actually has a real USP. The other kind of businesses are aspirational businesses. For example, most of the clothing brands in the world. People buy these brands because they want to feel good about themselves. So most D2C brands fall into the second category, which is the category that we'll talk the most about. If you're part of the first category, then the trajectory is also similar, but a lot of the play will be on your USP and how you are functionally different than others. And what's the real world problem that you're solving for. Decision 1 is deciding what you sell. And the worst advice that anyone can possibly give you is to follow your passion. Passion is a terrible starting point. Instead, start by researching on what actually the market demands. If you can solve for that and then intersect your passion along with it, then that's a winning business idea. If you have a functional business, then you're already solving something. But if you're an aspirational business, then you have to research properly on social media platforms, on marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart, and then do more research on Shopify. You can use AI tools, do proper research on what customers are actually craving for, read all the reviews and the feedback that the customers are talking about. Try to read between the lines on the kind of products that people are requesting in their particular city and identify a gap in the market. Once you have that, then your job is to fill it. Most brands in India are just building brands for tier 1. So a hidden gem and an insight that not anyone is talking about is Meesho. Meesho shows you real demand across the country from the biggest part of this country's consumer base, which is tier 2 and tier 3 India. There is a lot of gap in that market because tier 1 is already very saturated. So if you can build a brand and identify a gap for tier 2 and tier 3, then you can have a great business idea. Let's move on to the next part, which is how you source. If you are a functional business, then sourcing could be a very complicated job because you're solving a real problem, and that problem probably exists because there is no solution in the market. So now you either have to do it with your own bare hands, you have to create a prototype of your product, or you have to find a relevant person who can do it. Maybe that's a big factory, maybe that's a product designer. So you have to figure this out with an expert in your domain. There is no fixed model for this. And if you're building an aspirational business, then you realistically have a couple of choices. Of course, you can drop ship as well, but that's something that I do not recommend in 2026 at all. If you have enough money and you are so confident with your idea, then sure, you can set up your factory as well. But most of us will go for private labeling. Now in this step, the important part is figuring out the right partner, because this is the person who's taking care of the entire production. So make sure that you evaluate multiple different options before you finalize one, and you take samples from multiple different people before you even get into a partnership or recurring relationship. So first, just order a batch of 5, make sure it's completely quality tested, it's up to the standards of what the brand that you're building. Don't fall into this trap where you do a bulk order and it does not match what you had in mind. This is the single biggest problem that a lot of new businesses make, and this becomes a very primary factor of why people stop ordering from you and the businesses stop existing in year 2. Coming to the third decision, which is deciding how you're gonna build a brand. Most people set up a store on day 1 of them deciding a business. They grab a logo, they set up a store, they upload products, and they start selling. And they think that this is magically going to sell, but that's not how it works. When you have taken the decisions that are defined in step 1 and 2, then you have to apply that logic into your brand as well. Once you have reviewed the competition, once you've understood the gap, then you have to make sure that your brand also communicates that gap very clearly. Because if you don't, then no one can really understand how you're unique. And if you're not unique, why would anyone buy from a new business that just launched? So to solve this, you can start by asking yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, who specifically is this for? Number 2, what do you want them to feel when they land on your page? And number 3, what do you stand for that no one else is standing out in your market? Once you have done this, then you move on to building your actual brand, the visual identity, the brand positioning, the website, and so on and so forth. To make this very easy for you, I'm going to give you very clear actionables. Spend time to review 10 of your competitors. Make a list. You can use Claude or ChatGPT to analyze all 10 of them and try to make a list of all the things that are common in all these brands. Now try to identify a gap that you see. What is this brand not talking about, but people want this? That is exactly what you build upon now, but it needs to be a unique angle that no one else is talking about. Once you have figured that out, that becomes your core positioning angle. So using this core positioning angle, you hire a logo designer or a brand designer and you tell them this is how my brand is different. So try to create a visual identity that is unique for this specific core idea. And once you're done, take a screenshot of this branding, print out the branding of these 10 other brands and show them, and keep 5 of them on the same table. Show it to 10 people. Can people clearly differentiate how your brand is different? If they can, then you have done a good job. If they can't, then you have to go back to the drawing board again. Another reason why this step is crucial for your brand is your pricing. So if your brand cannot win on positioning, then it'll have to win on pricing. And you can't build a D2C brand in 2026 by being the cheapest in the market. I'll give you an example. Minimalist sells a serum for $5.99. The same serum you can find on Meesho for 150 rupees as well. The real reason why Minimalist is 4x more expensive than any other generic brand, it's because of its branding. Their positioning makes them stand out in a crowded market, which is why people trust Minimalist to make a good and decent quality product, which is why they can charge a premium. So if you can't build a brand, you will never be able to charge a premium. Then you have to compete on pricing. You can either sell that serum at 160 or 140. The fourth decision is your actual store. It's a D2C brand, so of course the most important thing is your actual store where you're going to be selling. Most people just pick a random platform and build a store and try to start selling. That's of course not going to work because there are thousands of D2C brands launching every day. So what you need to do is you have to figure out the right platform and then make sure that it's customized to your specific brand. So the first relevant insight here is picking the right platform. If you are a functional brand, then you have to clearly lay out the problem that you're solving. If you just lay out your products without explaining everything, it's not going to work. If you're an aspirational brand, then you have to look aspirational. You have to make people feel, because the buying decision is happening on the actual store. So the first thing that you need to do is to pick a right platform. The first obvious choice is Shopify. It's hands down the best platform for e-commerce in 2026. Everything from inventory management to payment gateways to shipping integration comes built in with a platform like Shopify. But of course, it's a little on the expensive end because of the detailed support it provides. If you want maximum control and you prefer something open source, then the next best choice is WooCommerce and WordPress. But you have to make sure that you're hands-on with WordPress in that case. The fastest path would of course be AI, because now you can build entire stores on platforms like Lovable. You can do that as well. But the single most important factor that people miss in this decision is that they build a very generic website. A website that does not differentiate from other brands in your domain is absolutely going to do you no favors. So the key here is to personalize it for your brand story, and make it stand out in the eyes of the end consumers, and highlighting the key factors on why you're different than other brands and why should they buy specifically from your website, and they should do it today. And remember, 80% of your traffic is coming from mobile, so the website needs to be mobile first. That's something that you cannot miss. Which brings us to decision 5 on how do you get customers. If you're going to spend money to acquire your first 100 customers, then you've already lost the game before you even started. So you cannot spend any money on ads, because if you do, then you're trying to hack the system and it will not scale. You have to figure out how your customers are going to discover you, and it needs to happen organically. It does not matter what category you're in. If you're a functional brand, then you need to start talking about your functionality. You need to start showing your journey. You have to be active on social media. You have to talk directly to your end consumers and try to form a community. If you're an aspirational brand, a similar thing happens, but in a different context. In that context, you're trying to make customers feel something. They have to feel and resonate with your story, which is how your brand will be aspirational to them. So the same thing goes. On social media, you need to create content, you need to stand out, and you need to be different. It is helpful if you are a content creator yourself. If you're not, then try becoming one, because that will be the key if you have to do it with a minimal budget. You have to invest money into a team that can actually create high quality story-led content for you. Because if you're a new e-commerce brand, then no one knows about you and you have very low trust in the market. To build that reputation and trust, you have to create content that is high quality, it has great production value, and needs to be consistent. This is a long cycle that will take several months. If you're lucky, it can happen in 3-4 months, but generally it takes anywhere from 9 months to 12 months to create a loyal following. Focus on community, reply to DMs that come to you, and try to form real connection with the people who are following you. Try to take feedback from them as much as possible, because that insight will be very valuable when you are building your brand. And the last most important factor here is, since you have no distribution, you can also leverage influencers. When I say influencers, I'm only talking about micro influencers with 10-15,000 followers, but they have a loyal community. You need to handpick these influencers, and they also need to be consistent with your brand story. Because if you pick a generic influencer with millions of followers, but they're talking to everyone, then your brand positioning dilutes even before your brand got started. So you cannot afford that. Instead, pick 10, 15, maybe even 20 different micro influencers, create high quality content with them, and put it out there in the world. So most people mess up this decision by trying to run ads and trying to hack the system, because creating content and distribution is a long and painful process that most people try to avoid. You cannot do that if you want your brand to last for year 2. Now that we have covered all the 5 decisions and you have clarity on how you can make a brand that will survive the first year, let's understand what it's going to take and how much it's going to cost to realistically do this. For your store setup, if you're using Shopify or WooCommerce or any other platform, if you include everything, hosting, shipping gateway, platform fees, everything in total will come anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 rupees on a month. So if you multiply it by a year, that's close to 25 to 30K for the year. It's similar for WordPress, it's similar for Shopify. For product sampling, you'll need around 3 to 5K. Depends upon your category, depends upon the actual product, but you have to order at least 5 samples. And then you have to go towards the initial batch, which will at least have 100 products. That could cost anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000, depends upon the actual product that you're getting into. Now comes the cost that could be very subjective. The first is the brand development. My suggestion would be, if you're a brand owner and you're just starting out in 2026, try to DIY as much as possible by yourself. There are a ton of free tools out there in the market like Canva, and with AI, you can create your entire brand by yourself. Just make sure it's very thoughtful, it has a unique positioning, it has a unique angle, because otherwise everyone is speaking the same language, because everyone can use AI now. So how you're different becomes the key in today's world. If you're someone who's coming from distribution and production background, then you probably might have to hire a freelancer or an agency. Now, if you do hire someone, the cost could start from anywhere from 70,000-80,000. It can go up to even 5 to 10 lakhs. Depends upon how extensive you want this brand to be thought of. The last part is distribution. My suggestion again is DIY. Create as much content as you possibly can. Become a creator yourself. If you can't do that, then sadly you'll have to build a team, and that can take up quite a bit of money. If you're hiring 2 or 3 people to build an in-house team, then you need a content creator and you'll need a video editor. So even if we take minimal salaries, it will be 50,000 a month of salaries. That could go to 6 lakhs a year. If you do everything by yourself, then you can start an e-commerce business today within a lakh. Just make sure that you follow a consistent approach and your brand stands out. Do not build a generic brand in 2026. It's not going to work. If you can't do everything by yourself, then there is no upper limit to building a brand. Eventually, it all boils down to the decisions you take. To put it into perspective, the amount of people who can spend a lakh to start a brand today is a lot higher. So you're competing with thousands and maybe lakhs of people. But if you have money and you want to invest in building a brand, then my suggestion would be doing it right and making sure that your brand stands out today. You probably can't do this by yourself. So make sure that you get in touch with someone who is very professional, who know what they're doing. This is not me begging for attention, but do make sure that you hire someone professional to set your brand apart. So to sum it all up, there are these 5 decisions that you need to take to make sure that your e-commerce brand can survive the first year and you can actually build a scalable business for years to come. First, you have to define your niche, not just following your passion, but where demand and your interests they intersect. Second is how you source, by making sure that you find the right partner that can deliver the right quality and not just the cheapest option that you can find, because there is no hack to that. The third one is to create a unique brand in your domain, because if you can't do that, then you can't stand out, and if you can't stand out, then no one really cares about you. The fourth one is to set up your store and making sure that this store is unique enough and it actually represents the brand that you just defined. And the last one is to figure out your distribution. Do not fall into the paid ads trap. Strictly go with organic content first and make sure you build a loyal community of users who want to try your product. So the 70% of businesses that disappear in year 1 are majorly the businesses that did not make these 5 decisions consciously. So make sure you make these 5 decisions and you spend good time on it, because everything that happens after you take these 5 decisions is just execution and showing up consistently for your end consumers. If this video helped you, then please drop a like and do subscribe to this channel. It's going to be super helpful for us. If there are specific videos that you want us to create, then we'd love to give you more insights. We are a team of branding professionals, video editors, storytellers. So if there is any particular topic that you want us to create videos on, then we'd love to. That's it for today's video. Until next time, may the force be with you.
मैं यहाँ से कूद के अपनी जान दे दूंगा अगर ये वीडियो नहीं चली तो। मैं पहले ही बता रही हूँ।
सच तो बताना पड़ेगा ना, पहले ही बता देते, मैं और ड्रामेटिक हो जाता। लाइटें बदलती जा रही हैं, इतना क्रेजी डिसीजन है ये, और क्या सच बताना।